Someone once said that history is identity, and I think that there is truth to this statement in context, right? But on a broader scale, I think there is a strong limitation of defining identity solely by past events and experiences, especially negative ones. I mean, does our experiences have an impact in our life? Yes, it does. For good or for bad, it certainly has a certain measure of impact upon the person, upon the people. But I'm saying that the summation of events and experiences is not the significant factor in taking your self-image from, in taking who I am from, right? And I'm saying this irrespective of whether it is a good experience or the cumulative bad experiences, right? Good or bad, it cannot define who we are. It has an impact, but it cannot define who we are. Okay? For example, talking about the negative experiences having an impact on your life, and then using the understanding gleaned from those events to now shape it to be in your self-image, right? Think about it. If perhaps you grew up in a home where your dad beat your mom, you moved from foster home to foster home, you never felt loved, you were neglected when you were young, you struggled you just struggled a whole lot coping wise about life. You did not know what peace meant. Imagine that is the major story that defined a person's childhood. How then will the person be able to escape that strong influence that has unconsciously shaped who the person is now? Because it happens whether we are conscious about it or not. Okay, because the events and experiences unconsciously shape our lives whether we are aware of it or not. Right? If we are not intentional about internalizing and believing truth to define who we are, then we risk becoming victims of our circumstances. I mean, helpless to consequences of what happens to us. As an adult, for example, the trauma you faced might still hinder you even up till now. It's damaging your relationships, alienating you from people that love you, preventing you from taking risks, causing overthinking, anxiety, even panic attacks. Okay, and I think this is a very not so good place to be in. Right? Because think about what will be the culture of the next generation if we now want to define ourselves helplessly by the experiences or circumstances of our lives. We want to define ourselves by history, because whether good or bad, it is simply not enough to define who you are. It's never enough. Never enough, because your identity cannot be created or formulated. It is found. What I am advocating for is that history cannot define identity. I am advocating for a truth-based approach to self-definition or to a culture definition. And this is who I am. This is who I am. I know myself to be this way. May not just be who you truly are.